Asalam Alaykum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. You didn't stumble on this video by accident. No, this is divine orchestration, a spiritual appointment set by the one who sees what the heart hides and what the soul silently prays for. You might think this is just another motivational message, but let me stop you right there. This is a declaration, a heavenly proclamation whispered into your soul long ago. And now, it's echoing through time. Your time has come. You've been waiting, haven't you? Wondering when things will finally align, watching others rise while you quietly held your pain, your effort, your sincerity. You didn't complain out loud, but you felt it. The ache of being passed over, the sting of being underestimated. And let's be honest, sometimes it felt like maybe Allah had forgotten you. But please, don't insult His precision. Allah doesn't make mistakes. He makes masterpieces. And masterpieces take time. You see, while others were rushing into the spotlight, you were being refined in the shadows. While people looked for shortcuts, you were being pulled into patience. You were not denied, you were preserved. You were not rejected, you were redirected. And now, the signal is clear. The delay is over. Allah has whispered to your destiny, proceed. The angels are aligning your path. The world is about to see the version of you that Allah was building in silence. Let's not sugarcoat it. This journey was brutal. It wasn't glitter and miracles. It was tears on a pillow, silent sujood at 3 a.m., heartbreaks wrapped in sabr, and hopes buried under layers of disappointment. But all of that, it wasn't wasted. Not a drop of your tears, not a second of your wait, not a single Ya Rab left your lips without being documented in the records of the heavens. The angels didn't blink while watching you persist. And now, the order has come. Rise. Don't wait for confirmation from people. You already have permission from the King of Kings. This isn't about fame or applause. This is about fulfilling your divine assignment. That inner call you feel, that subtle urgency rising inside you lately. That's Allah saying, the time is now. He's not asking for perfection. He's asking for obedience. Walk. Even if you're scared, rise. Even if your knees shake, move. Even if your voice trembles. Because chosen ones don't wait for perfect circumstances. They move when Allah says, go. And here's something they won't tell you. Sometimes Allah hides you not to punish you, but to protect what He's preparing. He knew that if He revealed your value too early, it would have been corrupted by hands not meant to carry you. So He covered you, preserved you like a gem deep beneath the earth, only to bring you out at the moment when the light is just right and the world is ready to receive what He's been shaping in you. So don't minimize what's about to happen, and don't act surprised when the shift begins. You are not rising by coincidence. You are rising by command. And when Allah decides it's your time, not even the mountains can block your path. Your time is not coming. It has already begun. They said you were too quiet, too hidden, too overlooked to be chosen. But they didn't know that the deepest parts of your soul were being rewritten by the hands of the most merciful. What they saw as absence was in fact a season of divine silence. A silence louder than any applause. A silence filled with construction, not destruction. Allah was preparing the foundation of your elevation far from the noise of the world, because the ones He chooses, He hides first. You were not delayed. You were being made. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared away from the gaze of those who couldn't understand your worth. Do you know how heavy a crown is? That's why He didn't place it on your head too soon. There's a type of training that no audience can see, a type of molding that happens in the dark. That's where you were. Allah was teaching your heart to beat in rhythm with His will. He was breaking every part of you that wasn't aligned with the future He designed. The pain? It wasn't random. The rejections? They weren't coincidences. Every closed door you stood in front of crying. Every friend who suddenly distanced themselves. Every moment you felt like nothing was moving. These were not failures. They were signs that the author was still writing your story, and he didn't want anyone else to pick up the pen. Some days, it felt like you were falling apart. But you were actually being rebuilt, brick by brick, prayer by prayer, tear by tear. You weren't being punished. You were being refined. And isn't it just like Allah to let the world think you're being forgotten, when in fact you're being positioned for something greater than they could ever imagine? The earth doesn't see the roots growing underground, but it will soon see the tree. You are that tree, and what was once unseen will soon be undeniable. You didn't understand it then, but now your heart is beginning to connect the dots. The loneliness wasn't meant to break you. It was a sacred conversation between you and your Lord. Every time you felt like no one saw you, know that Ar-Raqib, the watchful, never looked away. Every time you sat in silence, wondering why your du'as weren't answered, Al-Hakim, the All-Wise, was giving you a version of the answer that your soul needed more than your tongue requested. You thought you were just waiting, but in reality, you were being cultivated. Your spiritual skin was shedding. You were growing into the person that could carry the weight of your own calling. And that takes time. That takes divine care. So don't resent those quiet days. Don't regret those long nights. Don't look back at that version of you who was hidden and wonder if you were wasting time. Nothing you went through was useless. Nothing you lost was wasted. Even the tears you cried were used as ink to write your transformation. You see, before Allah uses someone in public, He polishes them in private. And that's exactly what He's been doing. You weren't sleeping, you were awakening slowly. You weren't being left behind. You were being pulled aside for a personal meeting with destiny. Now, the world may still be catching up to your value, but Allah never needed a crowd to confirm His choice. He didn't ask for approval when He placed His hand over your story. And while you were questioning your worth, He was already designing the path you would walk, filled with purpose, trials, yes, but also miracles. He was making sure your rise wouldn't be fragile. He wanted your foundation to be strong enough to survive the elevation. And that's why it took time. That's why it had to hurt. That's why it looked like nothing was happening when in truth, everything was shifting. You were hidden, yes, but not because you weren't worthy. You were hidden because you are. Now something has started to change within you, hasn't it? Quietly, without announcement, without fanfare, without fireworks. But deep inside, something shifted. You feel it. You wake up with a strange calm in your chest, even though the outside circumstances haven't changed. Your thoughts are more anchored, your prayers feel more alive, and your heart, though still healing, no longer feels hollow. That, right there, is not ordinary. That's the beginning of the rise. That's Allah showing you. The chapter has turned, even if the page is still settling. You were trained in the silence so you could walk in peace when the noise returns. What you're feeling now isn't luck, nor chance, nor coincidence. It's what happens when Allah says, enough preparation, now, show them who you are. When Allah begins to elevate someone, He does it in such a way that even they feel surprised by it. But surprise isn't the same as unpreparedness. You may feel like things are accelerating quickly, like suddenly doors are opening, minds are changing, people are noticing, blessings are multiplying, and yes, at first it's overwhelming. Not because you're not ready, but because you spent so long adapting to delay that you forgot how to receive ease. It's not that you're ungrateful. It's just that your soul got used to droughts, and now the rain feels unreal. But don't worry.
Allah didn't bring you here to leave you confused. He's just reminding you how abundance feels after long seasons of lack. There will be moments when you pause and ask yourself, why now? Not in a complaining way, but with sincere awe. You'll wonder why what you prayed for years ago is suddenly manifesting. You'll notice how some people who once dismissed you now speak your name with respect. You'll see opportunities you once begged for now seek you out. And your mind may try to make logical sense of it, but your heart knows the answer. This is not about worthiness or timing. This is about divine decree. What you see happening now is not the result of a lucky break. It's the evidence of Allah's promise. What He whispered into your soul in sujood is now echoing through your life in reality. What you planted in secret is growing in the open. Do not fear this shift. This rise is not meant to break you. It is meant to position you. Allah is not elevating you to make you proud. He's elevating you to serve. This is not about spotlight. This is about surrender. He's not asking you to impress people. He's asking you to represent Him in your lane, with your story, through your voice. Even if your voice trembles, speak. Even if your legs shake, walk. Because you are not walking alone. You never were. And everything that's happening now is simply the unfolding of what Allah has already written for you. He delayed it not to deny it, but to deliver it when your soul could carry the blessing without losing the burden of humility. It's okay if some people are confused about your sudden glow. Let them be confused. Let them wonder. Let them question. This elevation was never for them to understand. It was for you to live. And no matter how loud their doubt becomes, it can never silence what Allah has decided. What's coming next will not require your effort as much as it will require your trust. You've already done the work. You've already proven your sincerity. Now, the divine wind is blowing in your direction, and all you have to do is raise your sail and let it carry you. Yes, your steps will still require faith. Yes, you'll still have days of doubt. But the difference now is that the tide has turned in your favor. And when Allah changes your tide, even your past begins to make sense. So don't overthink the blessings when they arrive. Don't apologize for the miracles. Don't shrink to make others comfortable with your shine. Remember how long you cried for this. Remember how patient you had to be. This is not too good to be true. This is just good because it's true. And the truth is, you were never forgotten. You were being prepared for this exact moment. It begins subtly at first, the quiet reversal. The people who once ignored you now begin to glance your way. The opportunities that once shut their doors in your face start to knock gently, as if you were always meant to open them. Situations that used to push you away now seem to pull you in. And you stand there, blinking in awe, wondering if this is real or if your mind is playing tricks on you. But no, it's not a game. This is Allah turning the tides. This is the part of the journey where everything you thought was over is suddenly brought back to life. But this time, it's under divine permission. The same door that once rejected you is now unlocked, not because the world changed its mind, but because Allah changed your season. There's something you need to understand about divine timing. It doesn't require permission from worldly systems. It doesn't wait for people's opinions. When Allah commands something to open, it opens. When He decrees a change in your reality, even the things that once hurt you will begin to heal you. And when He decides it's time for you to step forward, no force in existence can hold you back. That job you lost, that relationship that broke you, that place that overlooked your presence. Watch closely, because what once rejected you will now recognize your light, not because you begged for validation, but because your worth is now undeniable under His mercy. This is not about revenge. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving Allah right. It's about walking through the doors. He opens without needing the applause of those who once watched you struggle. Your task now is not to return bitterness for neglect, but to enter these spaces with dignity, with gratitude, and with the calm assurance that this moment was written for you before you were even born. And it had to come now, not before, because earlier you weren't equipped to carry the weight of what's ahead. But now your heart has grown, your faith has deepened, and your spirit has matured. Now you are ready. Be prepared though, because with elevation comes attention, and attention can be uncomfortable. People will whisper, some will act confused, others suspicious. How did you get here? Why now? They don't see the hidden nights of prayer. They don't know the heartbreak you hid behind smiles. They didn't witness the rejections you turned into lessons. They only see the shine, not the shadow you crawled out of. But it's okay. You don't need to explain. You don't need to justify your rise. You're not here because of shortcuts or schemes. You're here because Allah has decided it's time. That's all the explanation you'll ever need. What's fascinating is how natural it starts to feel once you step into it. As if your soul was just waiting for your body to catch up. As if the path was always there, you just needed the courage to walk it. And don't be surprised if the very talents, skills or ideas you once buried come back stronger now. That gift you doubted, it was never gone. It was just waiting for the soil to be right. And now it's growing again. With speed, with barakah, with ease that can only be described as divine facilitation.
So walk through the doors. Don't hesitate. Don't question whether you're deserving. If Allah made it open, then you are ready, even if you still feel unqualified. Remember when the Prophet Musa alayhi salam was called to confront Pharaoh, he asked Allah to open his chest and ease his task. And Allah didn't choose him because he was perfect. He chose him because he was with him. And just like that, Allah is with you now. The same way He guided His chosen ones before, He is guiding you. The world will soon witness a version of you that only Allah knew was hidden all this time. You might begin to notice something unsettling as you rise. Certain people around you start to distance themselves. Some go quiet. Others throw subtle comments cloaked in concern. And a few, they disappear entirely. Not because you've wronged them, but because your growth confronts their comfort. They were fine when you were broken, small, dependent. But now that Allah is elevating you, some hearts can't handle the shift. It's not betrayal, it's exposure. Elevation has a way of revealing what words never could. And while it hurts, it's part of the process. Not everyone is meant to walk with you in this new season. Some were only assigned to the chapters that shaped you, not the ones that reveal you. Letting go of familiar faces isn't easy. You held space for them in your du'as, supported them in their storms, gave them access to your most vulnerable truths. And now, when you need celebration, they offer silence. But take a deep breath. This, too, is from Allah. He removes not to punish, but to protect. He sees what your heart can't. He hears what was said behind your back. And in His mercy, He subtracts to multiply. If someone walks away as Allah is lifting you, let them. If they mock your progress, leave them to it. Your validation comes from the one who raised you, not the ones who can't handle your rise. There's beauty in divine separation. It clears your path. It sharpens your focus. It purifies your circle. And though the loneliness may sting at times, it's often in solitude that you find your deepest strength. So don't chase those who've walked away. Don't shrink yourself to keep anyone close. If they can't celebrate what Allah is doing in your life,
then they were never meant to witness the fruit of your pain. Allah is pruning your garden. Let Him. What remains will be rooted, loyal, sincere. And what leaves was never meant to flourish where He's taking you. You've made it through the silence, the waiting, the stretching, the stripping, and now you're standing at the edge of something new. It's not just a new season. It's a new identity. You're no longer the version of yourself that was just surviving. Now, you're rising with clarity, with strength, with the kind of faith that can't be shaken by delay or rejection. You've been through enough to know that what comes from Allah is always worth the wait. And now that it's here, you don't need to rush it, force it, or explain it. You simply need to receive it with a grateful heart and steady hands. This is your time to walk in alignment, not to prove anything, not to fight the old battles, but to carry the light you've been entrusted with. The trials you faced were not just about patience, they were about preparation. You were being taught how to endure, how to see clearly, how to lead quietly, how to love purely, and how to speak with purpose. You've been tested in ways that stripped you down to your essence. And now you rise not as someone seeking approval, but as someone who knows who they are in Allah's sight. And that is enough. Now, as this journey continues, know that the one who brought you this far is not finished. This elevation is not the final destination. It's the beginning of deeper service, a clearer purpose, a brighter impact. Stay close to Allah and you'll never get lost. No matter how high you go, stay humble and the rise will never intoxicate you. Stay sincere and every step forward will carry His barakah. And now, as promised at the beginning, I want to leave you with a prayer from my heart to yours. Ya Allah, for the one watching, uplift them in ways they never imagined. Replace every tear with mercy, every delay with divine timing, and every test with treasures of your nearness. Let them walk with courage, speak with light, and rise with purpose. Let their elevation be a reflection of your grace, not their ego. Protect them from the envy of others and from the pride within. Amin.